Hello, I'm Sam McDonald, and this is my marketing simulation review. I was ML Backpacks, was the company I was managing in the simulation, and let's first look at my leaderboards. So looking at the cumulative leaderboards, I am ML Backpacks at the top here. My overall score was 37%, which is understandable. My account balance at the end of the simulation was 4.188 thousand. My net profit was negative 5.8 thousand. My market share was 9%, which is the second lowest in my cluster here, which is, I think, my major failure of this simulation. My units sold is 4.4 thousand, which ties into the market share. My return on marketing is negative 26%. And my customer satisfaction is 25%, the second lowest here as well, which I think ties into why I had a low market share. My revenue was 89,000 and my product satisfaction was 32%, which both that and customer satisfaction, I believe, are my two main shortcomings here. And again, my overall score was 37%. Moving on, when choosing my target segment, my target market, I decided to target school children. Let's see, sorry. I targeted school children because I believe at the beginning of the simulation they had one of the largest demographic, like one of the largest market sizes, and even though they had a lower growth rate, which I believe was higher at the start, I just wanted to be able to target the largest market. I thought that would be beneficial, and have potentially the most backpacks sold. I did consider potentially moving to university students if I was struggling with the school students. Then looking at my actual backpack itself with features, I originally started with the square-shaped backpack. If you look at the students and what their profile is, sorry. It says somewhere. Sorry, I completely forgot. They were interested oh, sorry. Yes, I remember where it is. The capacity is their most important characteristic of the backpack. Capacity, comfort, and durability. And I wanted at the beginning of my backpack Secret Life to mainly target these three: capacity, then comfort, then durability. So when looking at the backpacks, I chose the square-shaped backpack because it is not as expensive as the large rectangular one, and it does still provide a little bit more comfort. Because the comfort and durability were a little low, I decided to upgrade from the spaghetti straps to the to the basic straps for more comfort, increasing my comfort to 50%, as that is the second most important thing. And I think, well, now I've actually upgraded even farther. I went and I upgraded to the wide padded later. I upgraded to but originally I started at the basic straps. I did this as I wanted to have a very low production cost, as the school children's average price is quite low compared to most of the other target markets. But I was thinking the amount of students that purchasing could compensate for their low price demand. So to start, I started with just the the basic straps, and I thought a water bottle feature, which was only $2, would be nice, and the basic synthetic material. When looking at the color, I actually switched my color multiple times throughout the simulation, as often in the feedback, they did not care for the color. I'm pretty sure I tried basically every color, and they didn't really care for any of them. So I ended up eventually just staying with tan, because when my profits increased. Then looking at the price of my backpack, if we go to my reports here, I originally started selling my backpack for the asking price of school children, which is $24. I noticed with that when I originally started, I I spent too much by doing this. I then used spending money in promotion. I was not making enough profit from the backpacks to actually keep up with the amount I was originally spending on promotion. The price into my placement of my product, I began increasing my price not only to match with the amount I was spending on promotion, but also to be able to sell my product. As you see here, I increased from 24 to 26, and that's, I believe, 28 to then 31, then 32. So I then 37. And then I just gradually increased the price of my backpack, hoping to make up the profit margin I was spending on promotion, but also to increase the amount of locations I was selling my product to. So as you can see here, I was selling my product directly. I then began selling through the department store and university store. University store is the first one I chose, as the profit per bag was much more. And then the online discount retailer, and I believe I was selling at the discount retail chain for most of my simulation. I thought that selling at as many different locations as I could would be the best way to increase the amount of sales I had. But obviously that didn't work. Promotion of my product. I originally started with the positioning of my product by trying to make a unique message that was different from most others. I eventually ended up changing this product or my product positioning later into the simulation so that it targeted the most surrounded children. And then later, near the very end, I was considering changing my market. I I changed it slightly to target slightly more university students, as I was actually getting some sales from university students. At the start of my simulation, I did not really understand the level, how marketing would work and how the expenses of it would compare to my income. And as you can see here on my second turn, I spent 5,450 in marketing, which very much decreased my gross revenue, as the amount of backpacks I sold came nowhere near to matching this price and paying back the promotion, let alone making me profit. And as you'll see here, my marketing cost increasing so much in my second turn, when I did not understand the the effects it has, you can see with my net profit that it dropped 5,000 to negative $5,380. So comparing to how much I spent, I barely made any money in that second turn. And you'll find that throughout my entire simulation, that was my major problem, was the actual amount of sales I had. Near the end of my simulation, I believe I actually started making profit, but with the low amount of sales, it was not enough to actually make that much of a difference, even though I was technically making profit. Looking at what I believe my most challenging quarter was, sorry, I would again say that it was my second quarter. Um, The reasoning for this is, again, mainly the marketing cost, the marketing expenses I made in that quarter. I could argue as my first or second quarter were both really poor. The first quarter, I just spent nothing on promotion, as I was learning what I was doing. And in the second quarter, when I spent that large amount on promotion, I did not fully understand the effect that promotion would have, and how difficult it was to maintain the cost of that, right, and balance out the cost of it. And furthermore, adding on to that, you can see as my first and second quarter, even my third quarter, the amount of backpacks I sold was extremely low. 5 in the first quarter, 7 in the second quarter, and then finally moving up slightly, a big jump actually, 78 in the third turn, then moving more and more from there before a little drop. But that beginning time when I really did not understand what I was doing, how to promote my product, and how to spend my money the right way until I was actually making enough money that I could put some into proper promotions. Moving on to what my best quarter was, I believe that would be sorry, reports. That would be the quarter 9, which my growth are about quarter 9 or quarter 10 would be my best quarter. I believe these were my best quarters because really they were some of the only ones where I actually made any decent profit. I think at this time I began to understand how how to manage the amount I was putting into promotions so that I was not losing money every turn. I was actually making money, but still I had the problem of how many backpacks I was selling. So even though I was making profit, it was still very little compared to everyone else in my cluster, which is a problem I never got to rectify even at the very end of my simulation. Overall, from the simulation, I learned how difficult it is to manage the amount of money you are putting in to a product so that when the amount of money you make from the product, you're actually making a profit, right? So that your company can stay in business, and really how difficult it is to find a market and actually make a large amount of money from that market, right? Which is something I failed pretty bad at in the simulation. I think overall I could have should have looked into a way to design my backpack to increase my product satisfaction and my promotional message to increase my customer satisfaction as well. I think that due to those low product satisfaction and customer satisfaction, that is what really made my market share very low, which was my problem. Even though I eventually was making a profit, my share in the market was so low that I was almost unnoticeable compared to the others in my cluster. I think if I were to do this simulation over again, I would really focus on making a product that, you know, attracts my target market and focusing on what design and what pieces on the product, right? Like what material, what features attract the my target market, and look more into how I can increase the sales and increase the positive feedback. Even though most of my feedback here is good, my overall sales were very low, especially early in my simulation, which really was what harmed me and my total profits. Is that even though as I made so low amount of sales at the beginning, and even still a low amount of sales near the end, even though I was making profit, I was not able to regain that debt and that loss that I had accumulated earlier in the simulation. Thank you.